It is not every day when billionaires decide to go to space or even create an opportunity for human civilization to thrive on a different planet. Well, that's what Blue Origin and SpaceX want to do. SpaceX is a lot more superior than Blue Origin when it comes to the number of flights and number of rockets. But there is one thing that we often forget, and that has to be public support. You see, SpaceX does receive a lot of public support, and Blue Origin, on the other hand, gets a lot of hate. But why is that so? Hey aerospace enthusiasts, welcome back to our channel, Space TechZone. Now we know that Jeff Bezos is the person behind Amazon, and today Amazon happens to be one of the world's most valuable companies, and Jeff Bezos is the wealthiest man around. So with money comes a lot of power, and Jeff Bezos wants to use his power with money for space tourism, and he wants to do a lot more exciting things with his company, Blue Origin. Blue Origin was founded to fulfill Bezos' obsession with space travel, which began as a child during NASA's Apollo mission. Bezos believes that the future of human civilization is moving heavy industry and energy production away from the Earth. Bezos did take some time with Blue Origin to evolve it from an organization that invited experts to space-themed barbecues to a company that actually developed space hardware. It was only during 2015 when he got the first new SHEPARD rocket, and this was a success. The vehicle was capable of carrying 6 passengers about 100 kilometers into the sky. But the most important part about the spacecraft is that it can be reused again and again. SpaceX has already done it before with their spacecraft, so this is nothing revolutionary, but reusable rockets are still a lot more exciting. But why doesn't Jeff Bezos get the public support that Elon Musk is getting with SpaceX? Well, that's a huge question. The first thing you need to keep in mind is that SpaceX has got a lot more flight-proven hardware than Blue Origin, despite Blue Origin being the older company here. SpaceX also won NASA's Human Landing System contract to build a moon lander, and Blue Origin did not like the decision, which is why Jeff Bezos decided to sue NASA for only choosing SpaceX as the only contractor, because in traditional NASA fashion, NASA chooses 2 contractors for every mission. So in case one goes wrong, the other will still back up NASA. Blue Origin and Virgin Galactic successfully completed suborbital crew flights with their billionaire founders on board. For those of you who don't know, Blue Origin was started way back in 2000, and the company's been making progress ever since, but not as much as SpaceX. Blue Origin is working on their new SHEPARD and also their upcoming new Glenn orbital vehicle. Very recently, Blue Origin conducted a launch of their new SHEPARD rocket, where Jeff Bezos, along with his brother Mark, 18-year-old student Oliver Damon, and pioneering aviator Wally Funk to and from suborbital space with the new SHEPARD, and this happens to be a very big turning point for the company, as this was their first trip to space with passengers that are all civilians, a milestone that'll help a lot more civilians to visit space, and this might even ignite space tourism, just like what Jeff Bezos wanted with Blue Origin. But this is not the first time Blue Origin got a lot of media attention. Blue Origin wanted to make space tourism accessible to a lot of people, but right now, the passengers to space have been those who are extremely wealthy, and the question still remains, who's actually getting all the benefit with such missions? People are also questioning the purpose of space travel as if it's only reserved for the rich. And right now, it looks like nobody's benefiting from any of this. So right now, space tourism looks like it's only reserved for the rich, and most people are not liking it. The other reason why people dislike Jeff Bezos is because of this tax evasion, and we have sources that state that Bezos did not pay any federal income taxes in 2007, and the stock value for his company, Amazon, more than doubled that same year. Bezos also did not pay any federal income taxes in 2011, and that same year, Bezos also claimed a $4,000 tax credit for his children. On the other hand, we have Warren Buffett, who paid 0.1% of taxes for every $100 to his added wealth between 2014 and 2018. And he's also somebody who is completely vocal about raising taxes on wealthy Americans such as himself. This kind of economic inequality in the US has only increased ever since the 1980s. In other countries, upper-income families have increased their share of country's aggregate income in the same time frame, while middle-class households have lost their proportion. Do keep in mind that this has nothing to do with Blue Origin, but it has a lot to do with Jeff Bezos. The next we need to discuss is sketchy infographics. Ahead of Blue Origin's first suborbital flight, the company published the first of several infographics that could be labeled competitive. Blue Origin on Twitter. From the beginning, New Shepard was designed to fly above the KARMAN line so none of our astronauts have an asterisk next to their name. For 96% of the world's population, space begins 100 kilometers up at the internationally recognized KARMAN line. This tweet from Blue Origin from July 9th displays a side-by-side comparison showing the difference between Virgin Galactic, a suborbital flight called Spaceship Two, and Blue Origin's New Shepard. The infographic was posted just 2 days before Virgin Galactic's orbital flight on July 11th. The infographic specially pointed out the fact that Blue Origin's flight would reach above the KARMAN line, which is an internationally recognized border of space about 62 miles or 100 kilometers above Earth. In comparison, Virgin Galactic flight would reach only 50 miles or 80 kilometers in altitude that merits astronaut wings by the US government agencies. This infographic was also followed by a few other additional infographics that have poked at other space companies. Just take a look at this one, for example. Blue Origin in their website published that the SpaceX Starship deep space vehicle is immensely complex and contains very high risk, which was not very well received by SpaceX fans and critics. Now we need to talk about the ARTEMIS project, where SpaceX was awarded a $2.9 billion contract by NASA, and Blue Origin did not win anything. Now, the human landing system contract that NASA will be partnering up with SpaceX for will be their next lunar mission, which will bring astronauts to the lunar surface as part of the agency's ARTEMIS program. SpaceX won the contracts after successfully beating Dynetics and Blue Origin lead national team. This was quite confusing because NASA previously stated that they would want to award the contract to more than one company, so there will be a competition between both the companies that will drive innovation that is required by NASA for the ARTEMIS project. But the reason why NASA chose only SpaceX is because of a funding issue, because NASA did not receive all the funding that they asked for, which made it really difficult for NASA to choose more than one contractor. This was when Blue Origin and Dynetics filed a protest with the US Government Accountability Office. And in July, Bezos also sent an open letter to NASA Administrator Bill Nelson, stating why Blue Origin should have won the Human Landing System contract and suggesting that the selection was not made appropriately. This particular lawsuit was also not welcomed by critics in the aerospace industry because everybody thinks that SpaceX is a lot more superior than Blue Origin, because SpaceX does not have actual launches that take place very frequently. SpaceX also works with NASA for sending humans and cargo to the International Space Station, and we also know that SpaceX's ambitious goal is to reach the Martian surface, which is why they're working on the Starship in the first place, and a modified version of the Starship will be used for the lunar mission. Apart from this rivalry between Blue Origin and SpaceX, a Blue Origin engineer by the name of Nitin Arora, who actually worked for NASA previously, ended up joining SpaceX. Right now it looks like Bezos is just drifting away from the original goals of Blue Origin, and it's crazy to think why somebody who is worth $200 billion is protesting and suing NASA for money to build a lunar lander. Government contracts will be awarded if the agencies find value in these companies, and it looks like NASA did not find any with the Blue Origin, at least for the ARTEMIS project. Now let's also make a comparison between Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and Richard Branson. Elon Musk is somebody who fairly appears at news conferences and also takes his time to interact with people on Twitter. Richard Branson also is very approachable, but Jeff Bezos is somebody who rarely tweets, and his Instagram account is used only to reflect a certain image. And this does not look like somebody who is actually excited about the space community in a very meaningful way. But is his public image important to be successful? Well, we think it's not necessary, but it'll definitely help. The founder of the company does not need to be the most liked person in the world to be successful, but their actions will definitely help the success of the company. Blue Origin is now focused a lot more on winning government contracts and not much on developing products that'll help them win government contracts. With all that said, let's hope that Blue Origin becomes the next big thing in the space exploration industry. But right now, this industry is single-handedly led by SpaceX with their reusable rockets and their mission to go to the lunar surface and finally making humans an interplanetary species by putting humans on Mars before things go wrong on Earth. And that's a wrap for today's video. What do you think about Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin? Will it be a direct competitor to SpaceX? Do let us know in the comments section below. That's about it for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. We will meet again in the next video.